Hello, how are you? My name is Hilina Ajakaiye. I am the Executive Vice President for the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am so delighted to be here today joining you on this episode of 5 on 5. The Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau is the primary private sector marketing and visitor services organization charged with developing meetings, conventions, tourism-related businesses, and really, honestly, our goal is to enhance the economy of Boston, Cambridge, and the metropolitan area alike. The GBCVB is an excellent nonprofit, membership-driven and sales-driven marketing organization, and we're comprised of about 1,200 member companies that go from Boston to Cambridge and across New England, and really it depends on the visitors and the conventions and the industry that their success is growing. So really excited to be here. What an amazing question. And that for me is such a friend of mine, even after so many years. So I arrived, and my first cultural travel experience is coming to the United States of America. So I was born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And in 1987, my mother decided to put 3 girls on a one-way flight to the United States in search of a better education and just a better life for girls. And let me tell you, from the moment that airline landed at Logan Airport to the moment that I learned my first word of the English language, I realized that I was at a very unique place, even at a young age of 12 years old. And at 44 today, if I could say, if I knew then what I knew now, is that culture is an incredible thing to have in our lives. It widens our mind. Immediately, I was able to think about a world that I've never known, people that I've never seen, and a diaspora of so many cultures. And I realized, wow, this is the beginning of thinking differently, living differently. And that was my first cultural experience. And I embrace it. I love visiting other countries. And it's really the DNA of how I lead my life, both personally and professionally. What an incredible question, because what makes a destination unique is something that we ask ourselves all the time, right? What makes Boston unique from other cultural heritage and tourism destinations? So the perspective that I take is that Boston has a rich legacy in terms of the history and the movements that really make up the Boston city. As you know, landmarks, when you think about it, historic cities and sites, walking trails, museums, cultural centers. I'll give you 2 examples. The Freedom Trail connects 16 sites related to the American Revolution. And then you have the Black Heritage Trail, which explores rich African-American history, and the heritage that flourishes across Beacon Hill, the Women's Heritage Trail that uncovers gems and histories across the women's suffrage and the important role that Boston women played in the 19th century when it comes to abolition movement. So there's so many things that make Boston unique, but I would say that the history that connects the people that make up Boston today is incredible. So integration is important, right? In Boston, our cultural heritage is a main draw for tourists, so that it's important that we integrate this throughout our marketing materials. We have to ensure that the central voice of our brand and how we share our brand voice and our cultural ethos to our external parties is something that we go to business with every day. So many of our political, social, cultural, literary technologies and artistic movements have framed the American history and have Boston-based uniqueness and archetype. So we really have to make sure that it relates and it curates the compelling Boston story via digital marketing, print media, social media, even how we sponsor other initiatives and member programs that supports a lot of the businesses that make up and a lot of the communities that make up a Boston destination. We're always focused on those aspects, and our destination is truly unique in that everything that we do in storytelling is part of who we are going to be, and where we were before. So really making sure we drive the future with the past in mind. So Boston neighborhoods are diverse and dynamic, and they each include their own story that is part of the broader Boston fabric story, right? There are so many cultural tourism and heritage assets throughout Boston that are just now starting to become well-known areas for tourists to visit. The Roxbury Memorial Trail is an incredible one. For example, it illustrates just how amazing that neighborhood is and how it has impacted the course of Boston and the American history as a whole, including sites such as the 12th Baptist Church, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. ministered while attending his doctoral program at Boston University. So think about that. And the GBCVB is really charged with, and we strive to tell these stories throughout the new content that we create. We have produced videos for areas such as Jamaica Plain, Roxbury, Dorchester, that reveal the rich history and heritage assets that these areas are a part of. And it's how we go to business, and it's important that we really focus on the bustling culture and commercial hubs of Boston as a whole. That's an excellent question, and we should all, as DMOs, be asking ourselves how we go to business when it comes to telling the story of a destination. So for the GBCVB, every piece of marketing and curated content that we distribute has an eye towards experiential and immersive offerings that reveal the true Boston. Authenticity is imperative to us because we know that visitors no longer want just the highlights of a destination. They want to live like a local, so we make sure that we bring that to them. They want to really experience hyperlocal initiatives that highlight communities and its cultural identity, so that their traveling experience in turn is transformative. So we all want to be transformed by visiting a destination. We encourage destinations to no longer look at themselves as just another place that people can pass through. The stories that they curate, the visitors that they touch, and the destination setting that they create for the visitor is more critical now more than ever. So therefore, I mean, I would say the goal of each destination is to market in a way that teases a story, yes, but also invites experiences, offerings, fulfilling opportunities in your city for visitors to feel like they have had a life-altering and life-enhancing time in your particular city. That's what we strive for, and really look back on new memories and perspectives, and want to be able to come back and take what they've learned and bring it back home as well. So focus on that. Be different.